Just Baseball show a day late. Sorry, people. Our schedules didn't align on Sunday night or Monday morning. So this is the Tuesday show, a belated weekend headlines that we're giving you. Jack and Jose Altuve's son, Peter Apple. This is the JB show for Tuesday, August 12th. As always, it is presented by the fine folks at
BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JUSTBASEBALL. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. I was so excited to talk about the Brewers, the Mariners. Major League Baseball has been awesome. They set an attendance record over the weekend. And then you just had to say, I'm Jose Altuve's son. Why?
because Jose Altuve was awesome this weekend in New York. 2 for 4 with a double and a homer on Friday, 2 for 4 with an RBI on Saturday, 2 for 3 with a homer and 3 runs scored on Sunday. Jose Altuve is awesome. And it's funny hearing New York boo him every time he comes up. When are we going to be done with that? It was 8 years ago.
No comment.
Are you still salty with Altuve?
No, I'm not. I
Did you
mean,
see Correa's home run celebration? Don't rip
yeah,
my shirt off.
yeah.
That was
No,
awesome.
no,
That
yeah, I
was
saw it.
baller,
Yeah.
baller stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad. I saw it. Could we already have a full segment with Fink later. We're talking Yankees and Mets being a disaster class of how to play baseball. Can we talk about the Brewers? Because yes, Carlos Correa owns us. Jose Altuve owns us. Jason Alexander owns us.
Yeah, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 3 walks, and 3 Ks for George Costanza. That's huge, huge against the Yankees. We can
Yeah,
talk about the Brewers if you want.
I want to talk about the Brewers, winners of 9 straight games since they traded for Andrew Vaughn. July 6th, they were 50 and 40. July 7th, they make the move for Andrew Vaughn. They are now 73 and 44. So since the trade, they're 23 and 4. Since July 7th, second best WRC plus as an offense, second best starting pitching ERA, and the seventh best bullpen ERA. And it's really been incredible to watch this team because it's everyone on the 25-man roster making an impact. Jackson Chorio goes down with a strained hamstring. I even bring that up. I talk about their strength of schedule. Jack, they have one of the hardest strength of schedules left, and you're going to be without Jackson Chorio? What do they do? Since Jackson Chorio got injured, they're 9-1. They lost the first game after he got injured and have won 9 straight games. They are MLB's best team right now against teams over 500 with a record of 38 and 24. That is absolutely absurd. Just to put that in perspective, Toronto Blue Jays are 39 and 27, which is also incredible. But a team like the Dodgers, they're 32 and 34, right? So the Brewers have been beating great teams without Jackson Chorio, not even a fully healthy squad, and nobody can beat them. And it's because every single guy on the roster is doing their part. It's not one of those teams that's led by three incredible bats and two starters at the front of the rotation who just never give up a run, or a back end bullpen of three strong and then the game is over. Nope. There's fight, there's magic, all the bullpen arms I can rely on. 1 through 5 in their starting rotation is good for a quality starter better. And 1 through 9 in the lineup, everyone is playing their part. They're playing great defense. They're running the bases as well as any team. There's no stopping the Brew Crew right now.
Since June 24th, the Milwaukee Brewers are 30-8. Since March 27th, the Colorado Rockies have 30 wins.
Mm.
So if you take 3 months off the season, the Brewers have the same number of wins as the Rockies at this point.
Who has been the most impressive for you in this Brewers run? Because I want to talk about Isaac Collins, but has there been someone on this Brewers team that maybe has surprised you more than you might thought going into the season?
I'm going to spoil who we're talking to on the Wednesday show.
That's kind of why I tossed you the question.
Quinn Priester has been a revelation, and I understand that he struggled a bit on Sunday, but this guy, when scrapping the four-seam fastball, has become one of the best pitchers in baseball and
Yeah,
one of the best ground ball pitchers in baseball. Ground
100%.
balls at will. This guy was 10-0 over the last month. 10-0 over the last 6 weeks. And I'm going to ask him, I'm so curious to ask him, does that matter to you? And I feel like the answer is a resounding hell yeah. I want to win a bunch of games. And Priester puts himself in a position to go deep, like really deep into ball games because he's getting 0-1 soft contact on the ground. For me, the starting rotation is the story for the Milwaukee Brewers. And there are teams that have put together decent runs against some Brewers starting pitchers. Like, hell, I just watched the Marlins take a series in Milwaukee a couple weeks ago, and they did it by forcing Freddie Peralta to throw 100 pitches in 5 innings, and then forcing Quintana to throw 100 pitches in 5 innings, and then running Brandon Woodruff's pitch count up as well in his start. But what they do is they get quality starts or damage control from Freddie, from Quintana, from Woodruff, from Priester, and from anybody else that starts a ball game for them. It could be Logan Henderson, could be Mizorowski when he comes back, who's pulling a what rare Pokemon card.
It's
Like,
so funny. I saw these memes where it's like a Brewers fan just trying to have fun, and it's like a picture of Jacob Mizorowski pulling the Pokemon card, and then on the other side it's like Cubs, Mets, all the other teams being like, "Stop having
yeah,
fun," and they're just pulling Pokemon cards and winning every day.
there are very few teams that I look at and smile for their success quite like I am for the Milwaukee Brewers right now. Like
Yeah.
the Phillies for me are an interesting watch, and I find myself in the postseason gravitating towards the Phillies because they play this fun and like very intense brand of baseball. The Brewers are just playing scrappy as hell baseball, and I love watching it. Love it.
You love it because anyone can make an impact in any given moment, right? Every single guy on the team. I know I keep saying it over and over again, but it's so rare. It's so rare that when a Brewers fan turns on the TV, they don't know who's going to make the big hit. They don't know who is going to throw 6 innings, no runs. Well, they kind of do because they just expect it from everybody, but they don't know which reliever is going to come in and strike out the side. They're used to the normal guys coming in like Uribe and McGill, but everybody's doing it. It's got to be a joy to watch because most fans watch their teams and they need their big star to get the big hit in the big moment. They need their ace to shove so they can get a win. The Brewers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's up. It doesn't matter who's pitching. They're going to beat you right now, which has got to just be the most enjoyable fan experience possible.
I feel like there are a lot of people around the league that are looking at Milwaukee right now and saying, "Oh, you're probably not a true World Series contender. You're not one of the major markets. This scrappy brand, like you got to hit homers, and Milwaukee doesn't really hit homers. They may not be valid World Series contenders." I think I'm here to tell you, you should recalibrate a little bit. It seems like they can win a World Series this year.
Bar none, the reason they are a World Series contender, point blank period, is because of the pitching. Because when you can go Woodruff and you could go Mizorowski and you could go Priester and you could go Freddie in a 4 game series, those are 4 legit options.
Yeah.
You said that Priester is one of the best ground ball pitchers in baseball. That's just a fact this year, right? Fromber, you'd say, is the best. He's got an ERA under 3. He's been incredible. He is incredible. Number 2 would be Logan Webb. The strikeout rate has increased. He's got a low 3s ERA. I think it's 3.24 if my memory serves me correctly, in around 145 innings. And all of those guys have a ground ball rate between 55 to like 63%. Quinn Priester has a 3.49 ERA with a 58% ground ball rate. He is absolutely in that conversation. Now, is he quite as good as Webb or Fromber? No. But Webb's going to throw game 1 if the Giants are able to make the playoffs, and Fromber's probably going to throw game 1, even though Hunter Brown has maybe been better, but whatever. Fromber's probably earned that role.
The
Quinn
only
Priester's going 4th in that rotation.
Yeah, real quick, the only other one that I'd throw up there is Christopher Sanchez. Like, it's time to give him
True.
his flowers.
He's just been so good. I forget that he's also a ground ball
Yeah,
artist.
Sanchez is a 58% ground ball rate. Like,
True.
it's
He's
5
better.
points off of Priester. Priester's at 58.1. Sanchez is at 57.6. Sanchez has a 2.36 ERA.
Yeah, he's the best ground ball pitcher in baseball. He's been so good, I forgot he's also a ground ball artist.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sanchez for me, like kind of hits that Mount Rushmore or finishes the job this year. Other guys like ground balls are a huge part of their game. David Peterson, ground balls are a huge part of his
Yeah.
game, and he's been really good. Yamamoto, like, is rolling
Yeah,
ground balls at a clip over 50%. But for me, when I think who are the get outs on the ground guys right now, Sanchez, Fromber, Priester, and Webb.
correct. So that's again why the Brewers are a World Series contender because let's say you don't believe in the offense. I do, but let's say you don't. They can beat teams with their pitching. This rotation is better. I think it's as good, if not better, than those days where it was Burns, Woodruff, and Freddie, because this Brewers team can go four deep, and then their bullpen is as deep as it has ever been, even though they traded away Josh Hader. They traded away Devin Williams. Nice job, Brewers. That was a good decision. But regardless, they go so deep that all they need is five from these guys, but pitchers like Freddie can go longer than that. Priester could go way longer than that. Woodruff will go longer than that as he works his way back from injury, or he'll just go 6 innings at 70 pitches. Like he'll still go long and be incredibly efficient. And yeah, Mizorowski probably won't go very long, but he's going to throw like a 5 inning no hitter.
Yeah. So for me, all you ask for in the postseason is five from
Yeah.
your starting pitchers. I think you can ask for six from aces.
Yeah.
Like Freddie, you can ask for six.
Yeah.
But everybody else, give me five, especially with how the off days are stacked. Like Abner Uribe can pretty much throw in every game.
Yeah.
Trevor McGill can pretty much throw in every game.
I mean, Nick Mears does throw in every game, it feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Like, and he's nails, right? So, yeah. And I do believe in the offense. I don't want Brewers fans listening to this. I'm just providing the hater 101 guide to hating on the Brewers, right? Where they
Yeah.
could say, well, there's not a lot of big names in this offense. Are they going to be able to keep it up? The main reason why I do is I'm an Isaac Collins believer, and let's talk rookie of the year race.
Yeah, let's pivot to that. So Isaac Collins and Drake Baldwin in Atlanta are pretty much making this a two-horse race right now. Unfortunately, Augustin Ramirez, like the lack of defensive value probably takes him out of the conversation. I will say, while Collins' walk-off homer on Sunday made you feel really good about his rookie of the year candidacy, did you see what Baldwin did this weekend?
No,
Drake
Baldwin's a beast.
Drake Baldwin in his 4 games against the Marlins this weekend had 3+2+2, 7 hits, had 5+2+3, 10 RBIs. 10 RBIs in 4 games. Multi-homer day. He's a freako. Drake Baldwin had himself a hell of a weekend. In 86 games, he's hitting 289, 13 homers, 51 driven in, and an 835 OPS. But by WAR and by WRC Plus, sounds like your guy might be a touch better.
That's what I'm saying, right? This is no disrespect to Drake Baldwin. I tweeted out after that walk-off home run that Isaac Collins is my leader for rookie of the year. You look at the BetMGM odds, they basically say it's like a dead heat even, right? It's anybody's ball game at this point. And again, I don't want to praise Isaac Collins so much as a detriment to Drake Baldwin because Drake Baldwin is also having an excellent year. And when I tweeted that out, Braves fans came rushing to the comment sections. Has to be Baldwin, has to be Baldwin. But here are the numbers. Isaac Collins has a better WAR. Isaac Collins has a better OPS. Now, Drake Baldwin has more home runs, but Isaac Collins has stolen 13 bases compared to Drake Baldwin at 0. Isaac Collins has a higher average. Isaac Collins has a near 40-point lead in OBP. Now, Drake Baldwin is the better slugger, but overall, you look at OPS plus and you look at WRC plus, Isaac Collins leads in both of them. Now, what Braves fans can sit back on is, well, Drake Baldwin plays catcher. It's a very valuable position, and I agree with you. It is. But at the end of the day, F WAR, baseball reference WAR, it encapsulates that. And because Isaac Collins has been such a great defender in a corner, that's not really an argument that you can stand on when the offensive numbers almost across the board outside of slugging and homers are giving it to Isaac Collins.
Yeah.
And I hate to do this, but when it is close, tie goes to the guy on the better team.
No, I absolutely think that's valid here. And I was going to say there are very few cases where the guy on the better team should win an award. But when it's a dead heat like this, you should probably look at the team that's much better. One of them is playing respectfully to Atlanta meaningless baseball right now. The other one is playing as meaningful baseball as we have in the game at the moment. And Collins is rising to moments, and Baldwin is hammering in low leverage spots. Now, granted, he's hammering,
It's
but
not his fault he's in
it's
low
not his
leverage
fault.
spots.
It's
Yeah.
not his fault. It's unfortunately the injured list in Atlanta's fault. Like
Yeah. And I love
everybody's
Drake.
hurt, so then he's stuck catching Fetty and Carrasco and whoever else.
And again, I love Drake Baldwin. He rakes and he plays a good defensive catcher, right? He's had 61 games at catcher this year, only 10 at DH. He's played really, really well.
You know what I think hurts
But
him? Yeah.
talk to me.
You know what I think hurts him is the presence of Sean Murphy.
Yeah.
I understand that they could be gearing up for this Murphy Baldwin DH catcher deal next year when Marcell Ozuna walks in free agency. But this year, without them moving Ozuna at the deadline, and I don't know if they got the opportunity to move Ozuna at the deadline, this whole idea of Murphy sitting 4 days a week is a little weird to me.
Yeah.
And Baldwin having reps taken away from him is a little weird to me, too. I understand Ozuna is really heating up as of late, had a multi homer day on Saturday, homered again on Sunday. He had 4 homers on the weekend against the Marlins, but I mean, like Ozuna, okay, it's a 770 OPS. It was a long climb to a 770 OPS for him this year. He really wasn't slugging, so he was near immovable. But you've got a guy that clogs the DH spot, and that's taking at bats away from Drake Baldwin. The fact that he can't play every day, I think, is a hindrance. And Collins has been playing every day.
Agreed. And that's why Drake Baldwin not winning rookie of the year is almost not really his fault. Because if it is a dead heat at the end of the season, what are the voters going to look at? They're going to look at the fact that the Brewers might have the best record in baseball compared to the Braves, who had the most disappointing season in all of Major League Baseball. That's not Drake Baldwin's fault. It's also not Drake Baldwin's fault that they also have Sean Murphy and Marcell Ozuna taking playing time away, right? Isaac Collins has now played 10 more games. You expect that number to only increase. So Isaac Collins' counting numbers are just going to get increasingly closer to Drake Baldwin. But on a per game basis, Drake Baldwin is just as good. Drake Baldwin might even be better. Well, actually, he's not better based on WRC plus, right? So again, it's if you don't have the lead there, you can't really make a better argument that he is a better hitter when the numbers would just say Isaac Collins has been better, and then Isaac Collins gets to play more on the better team. So let's say they do have the same WRC plus. It's going to come down to those two things, which is why I said Isaac Collins is going to win Rookie of the Year. But I want Braves fans to know I still love Drake Baldwin. It has nothing to do with him. It's almost not his fault that he's not going to win.
Let's save our asses with Braves fans. So you hate Drake Baldwin, but you know who you love? You love Michael Harris the second. And Michael Harris has made a correction, and man, is it paying dividends. And this is a weekend observation and a weekend headline because Harris was very good over the weekend. But this is also something that is encapsulated in the couple weeks that we've had since the All Star break. This guy has come back after the All Star break and been different for Atlanta. And I'll lay out statistically what I mean by being different for Atlanta. Michael Harris was one of the worst players in Major League Baseball in the front half of the season. Michael Harris, when you look at splits pre All Star and post All Star, pre All Star in 93 games, he was hitting 210 with a 551 OPS. 23 games since the break, hitting 359 with a 1064 OPS. Pre All Star, he had 6 homers in 93 games. Post All Star, he has 6 homers in 23 games. This is a different Michael Harris, and it's because of an adjustment that our guy Peyton really laid out visually, and that was very cool from Big League Analysis on TikTok and Instagram.
So I highly recommend everybody go check out that video. Again, it's at Big League Analysis, ran by Peyton, who is an absolute beast. He also edits our podcast as well, and I'm sure he'll put over the highlights that he used in that video. So make sure to go check it out. But again, this mechanical change, raising his hands, right? His hands were pretty low, right, in his load, but then they've been raising up. And in the first half, right, he was hitting 210, 229 with a 317 slug, 54% ground ball rate. Peyton cited that he was horrible against fastballs and sinkers, was hitting 176.
He was getting blown up by Velo.
out of the realm of possibility of what we thought would happen to Michael Harris. But in the second half, since that mechanical adjustment, he's hitting 378 against heaters with an OPS over 1,000 and has dropped that ground ball rate by almost 30%. And overall, in that second half, he's hitting 359. And Peyton also cited that since he raised his hands on July 9th, he's hitting 327 with a 947 OPS. So it could have just been a slight mechanical change for Michael Harris, getting him right back into being one of the best young outfielders in the game, which is such a breath of fresh air for Braves fans because looking towards next year, they have to figure out a way to get out of this hole, right? Because Alex Anthopoulos made the decision. We are not going to sell at the deadline. This team still is really good. We're just having an absolute season from hell, which is more than fair, but you need some of the guys that you didn't sell off. It's not like you were going to sell off Michael Harris, but you need things to look forward to in the 2026 season. And Michael Harris making these changes are absolutely near the top of the list.
Yeah. Michael Harris has been just a different guy, and it's a matter of simplifying. Like I asked a couple of people, I said, what would getting hands up do? And it's just eliminating a moving part. And he may feel more free and athletic with the hands down where he can kind of pump up and then go. But when you're getting blown up by velocity, you got to make a change like that. And Harris just cut a moving part. It's like a pitcher that's really struggling to get on plane and get lined up with their shoulders, with their body, whatever it may be, working from the wind. And then you see guys start to work from the stretch. Jacob Mizorowski, no longer a wind-up pitcher. Like he started working for the stretch in AAA last year. Why? He needed to eliminate moving parts. And the shit was still nasty enough. He just needed to figure out a way to get it within the strike zone. This, to me, is the equivalent of just going to the stretch because you're getting your shoulders lined up.
Simplifying it a little bit, right? See ball, hit ball, right? We sometimes say that, and sometimes it can be that simple. Now, I'm sure it's not that simple with Michael Harris, but this mechanical change where it's not a big old load and it's just straight to the baseball, right? This guy hits the ball as hard as any young outfielder in the game and, plays great defense. So that's why it was so shocking to see him have a season like this. But to simplify everything, it looks so much better, which again is just so helpful for the mental of Braves fans because we all see it. We all know he's got it in him. So to see this mechanical change and this surge in the second half, it's great to see.
Yep. All right. We are going to get to the American League side of all this in a moment. But before that, I want to tell you about what I'm doing a little bit later today. We're recording on Monday. It's 12:32 p.m. Eastern. Peter said, "What's your schedule?" And I said, "I'm good except for about 1:30 to 4:30 today." And he said, "What do you have going on?" I said, "I'm going to see Weapons, that new horror film that looks unbelievable." And he laughed. It's like, "What are you laughing at?" And he's like, "Why are you going to see a horror movie at 2:00? Why wouldn't you go at 7? Number one, it's my off day. I can do whatever the hell I want to do on my off day. So Peter
It's
can't.
objectively still hilarious that you're going to see a horror movie in the middle of the afternoon.
I want to walk out of the theater when it's still light outside because I'm a scaredy cat. Is that fair?"
I mean, it's fair in your own mind, but you are still a wuss.
That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I'm going to walk out. It's going to be 4:30. I can hang out. I get back to my hotel room. It's still light outside. Totally fine with the cadence of my day here. So I'm going to go see a horror matinee. And if you're fascinated by this new movie, Weapons, I don't blame you. I am. And if you're concerned that for some reason at 2 a.m. you're going to get up and run out of your front door and you're going to have your arms extended like what we've seen in the trailers and the commercials, you should probably protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Okay? So Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not in months. There's no complicated process. It's 100% online. There's no medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions. Get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. They're a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. As of March of 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the number one no medical exam instant life insurance provider. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Ethos has a 4.8 out of 5-star rating on Trustpilot with over 2,400 reviews. Protect your family from life insurance from Ethos, or protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Don't protect them from life insurance. You need it. Get your free quote at ethos.com/justbaseball. That's ethos, ethos.com/justbaseball. Do you have concerns that like you'll just run out with your arms extended like in the movie trailer?
No, but that breakdown is why you get paid the big bucks.
No
Like
doubt, brother.
that was just beautiful.
It was
No,
good. That's
no
called a
doubt about it.
transition. Now, can I tell you about my favorite to come out of the American League?
Yes, you can. But before that, let's take a quick break.
I think the Seattle Mariners are coming out of the American League. I
Mm.
think the Seattle Mariners will be playing in the World Series this year. And to lay out what the Seattle Mariners are doing right now, they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. Peter, you have some numbers attached to that.
Yes, I do. So let's look at the BetMGM odds. Dead even race the rest of the way between Seattle and Houston as the Seattle Mariners sit just a half game back. Well, why? Why have they been so good? Well, during this streak, they have just been winning. It feels like every single day. In August, they've been one of the best teams in baseball, and they've really closed the gap here. Josh Naylor, who they got over the trade deadline, 219 WRC plus in August. And Cole Young, one of their best prospects that they pulled up, who ran into troubles initially, has really settled in. And it's not just settled in, is playing like a superstar right now with a 224 WRC plus again in the month of August. Julio Rodriguez is still a stud, 143 WRC plus. Randy Rosarena, same thing at a 131. JP Crawford, Dominic Canzone is also hitting. And they're doing all of this, and I'm sure this is a big reason why you're so bullish on them. Gino Suarez, the guy with 37 home runs, has a -1 WRC plus in the month of August with them. And another reason you're probably bullish, how about Gilbert, Castillo, Kirby, Wu, all pitching lights out? In the bullpen, Munoz, Brash, Ferguson, Spire, all with an ERA under 2 during this stretch. And just the cherry on top of the Sunday, Cal Raleigh hit his 45th home run on August 10th. That's the exact date Aaron Judge hit his 45th home run last year, and he finished with 62, breaking Roger Maris's record.
And oh, by the way, Cal Raleigh tied Johnny Bench for the second most homers ever hit by a catcher in a season. He will be breaking Sal Perez's record.
Damn.
Dude, there's so much going right for Seattle right now. And the biggest thing going wrong, you laid it out perfectly, is the reason that I buy it.
Yeah.
Gino Suarez is as streaky a hitter as we've got in Major League Baseball. And if this guy's cold as ice right now on August 11th, you bet your ass he's going to be hot as a match in late September, drifting into October. If they get there, I trust this offense to get really hot. And you could say, what do you, they never hit. Guess who's on that roster? Randy Arozarena's on that roster in October, and that's my sleeping giant for me. I look at how they match up, and starting pitching wise, they match up with literally anyone. Brian Wu, I think, might be the most underappreciated pitcher in Major League Baseball, along with Sanchez. I think Sanchez is there, but Wu is right there as well. He's gone 6 innings or more in 23 straight starts. He's the first guy to do that since Clayton Kershaw at the peak of his powers. Wu, Kirby, Gilbert, Castillo, all lining up there. All of a sudden, you've got Bryce Miller working as this like Swiss Army knife swing man, long man, whatever you need. Munoz throwing the 9th inning in a postseason game. I need that so badly in my life. And this offense is star laden enough and performance based enough to make stuff happen in the postseason. I'm really excited for what Seattle can do in October.
I think you're hesitant to give the Mariners offense its full flowers because how many years of disappointment have we seen from Seattle on the offensive side? I think that's still in the back of your brain.
Yeah.
But this current Mariners lineup is as good as any lineup in Major League Baseball. And we already talked about Gino Suarez, and we did mention Cal Raleigh, and the home runs are still there. But here's the thing. This Mariners offense has been one of the best in the month of August, has been one of the best since the All-Star break, has just been one of the better offenses in Major League Baseball. But lately, right? Geno Suarez has been really struggling. He's been a downright automatic out. But Cal Raleigh's hitting his home runs, but that doesn't mean that overall offensively he's been that great of a bat, right? We remember in May when he put up an OPS near 1100 and hit over 300. We remember in June when he put up an OPS near 1100 and also then again hit 300. But in the month of July, he hit 194, right? Still 9 home runs in a month. That's amazing, but it's a 767 OPS. We expect better than that. And then in August, right, it's only 41 plate appearances, but he's hitting 139 with a 633 OPS. So in the month of August, this Mariners team is winning tons of games with Cal Raleigh putting up an OPS below 650 and Geno Suarez putting up an OPS below 500. Those are supposed to be arguably the two best bats in your lineup. Of course, you could say Julio, you could say a number of different guys. But the reason why I wanted to pull up all of those other bats is Naylor going to put up a 200 WRC plus for the rest of the season? No. Is Cole Young going to do that? No. Is Dominic Canzone, is Randy Rosarina, is all these guys going to probably play pretty well? Yes. And then if Geno and Raleigh can step up, then the offense becomes prolific. And the starting pitching is already what we expect it to be. Bryce Miller is making rehab starts right now. Now, in his last rehab start, it didn't go all that well. But we got to remember, you're adding Bryce Miller instead of Logan Evans, who's got an ERA in the mid fives, right? You expect Bryce Miller to perform better than that, giving the Mariners more of a chance to win every single day. And when their bullpen is this stacked as it is right now, nobody wants to play Seattle at this current moment.
Nobody wants to. By the way, Bryce Miller, you said it didn't go overwhelmingly well, and I can appreciate that. And his start to his season didn't go overwhelmingly well.
No.
10 starts at a 5.7. But what this guy has done, it is in his first two rehab starts. 4 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 6 Ks. His second one, 3 2/3, 4 hits, 4 runs on 3 homers. Sure, 5 Ks. So this guy in 7 2/3 has punched out 11 and walked
Yeah.
2. Those are the numbers I'm looking at right now. Heater's going to get clipped sometimes. For it to get clipped 3 times in a rehab start, I'm okay with it because he's just trying to get feel back. And he's in the PCL. He's throwing in Tacoma. Uh, I'm bought in on what they can do 5 deep right now. And when they shrink to 4 and they move Miller into a pen to create that quasi super pen, come on.
Oh, Red Sox add Steven Matz. Mariners are adding Bryce Miller.
Yeah, come
You
on.
know what I'm saying? It's a
Come
little
on.
bit different. So, no, that I totally agree with what your analysis is on the rehab starts. That's why I'm like, he had a bad rehab start in his last one. I don't care.
Don't care.
Like, I don't care. He's going to come back and he's going to give the Mariners a better chance on that fifth day. And even
Yep.
if he doesn't, even if he pitches to the same level of Logan Evans, the Mariners are probably going to win those four with Woo, Kirby, Castillo, and Gilbert anyway. And then when you have the bullpen performing like it is, with the offensive upside yet to come from Geno Suarez and Cal Raleigh, this team's dangerous.
Really dangerous. You had a reaction when I said they're my pick to make it out of the American League, but now that we've fleshed it all out, are you understanding what I'm saying?
I went, as in like I love it, right?
Okay.
I'm not sold on any team in the American League,
Yeah, because
right?
the counter, which I think is valid every time someone brings this up, is well, Houston's there, and it's like okay, I get
Yeah,
it, I
Houston's
get it,
great,
and
but
Houston
again,
has this sense of inevitability. By the way, happy return, Christian Javier. Holy
hell
shit,
yeah,
welcome
hell
back.
yeah, welcome back. I mean, the Astros are amazing, like they're inevitable, but again, they're not. I mean, I got to stop myself. Like whenever I start to give them an inch, they take a mile. So I'm just going to abstain. The Astros are a very, very good team, but doesn't mean the Mariners can't beat them, right? The Tigers, they just haven't been playing good baseball for a while now, right? They string together some wins. They still got a good foothold over their division,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe not. We might talk about that in a second. And then in the American League East, the Red Sox are playing better baseball, but again, they still don't scare me, right? Because I'm still wondering who's going game two for them in a playoff series,
Yeah.
right? Giolito and Bayo have been good, but they're not as scary as Kirby and Woo, who are going games 2 and 3. And then the bullpen, I'll take Seattle's, and that Red Sox offense can really hit. But again, so can Seattle. And the Yankees are a horrible baseball team full of disasters everywhere. So maybe that was a little harsh, but my real baseball brain is saying, like, I'm not afraid of the Yankees. So when you say the Mariners are going to make it out, I got no pushback from me.
Cool. What do you make on guard ball?
The Guardians, like, they're just playing guard ball. I don't know, like, I don't know how else to say it. It's almost like a slightly watered down version of what the Brewers are doing. And it's just good to see some of their young guys step up and, not look terrible. They've won 8 of their last 10 games now. They're playing great. 6 games back of Detroit, half game back of the Yankees for the third wild card spot, 2 games up on the Rangers. And again, those young guys that I was talking about, Kyle Manzardo has been awesome in the month of August. He's got a WRC plus over 200. Brian Rocchio, who we were talking about a couple of months ago, saying, if he doesn't show up in the second half, we might be looking at a new shortstop in Cleveland. But look at this, a late surge. It's not like he's been amazing, but he's always going to play solid defense. And the fact that his WRC plus is above 100, well above 100 lately is a great sign. Bo Naylor, the same thing, right? With Gavin Williams taking a big step. Now, there are more problems with Cleveland, right? Tanner Bybee is not having a great year, but you expect him to get better. Again, if we're talking about Gino Suarez, we should talk about Tanner Bybee, right? This guy is better than what he has shown. Joey Cantillo has stepped into the rotation. He's pitched pretty well, but it's the bullpen also. It's like in Class A's absence, right? Sabrowski, Festa, right? They've had plenty of arms step up, and it's still that patented Cleveland pen. They're getting obviously great offense from Jose Ramirez. Stephen Kwan is still a solid bat. So it's a much more well-rounded team than they've shown. 6 games is a lot to make up, but they're in it. And with the Yankees faltering, with the Rangers still not getting hot like we expect them to, the Guardians are absolutely live to make the playoffs. And I was looking at the odds this morning. BetMGM gives Cleveland a 33.3% chance of making the playoffs. That's the implied odds of a plus 200 line, and about an 8% chance of winning the division. The sports books are actually much more bullish on the Guardians than Fangraphs is. 28% to make the playoffs, 4.7% chance of winning the division. So, again, you got about a 30% chance of making the playoffs. But with the Guardians, the odds are never going to reflect them as much because betting odds, percentages, they've always been lower on the Guardians because it's hard to quantify a lot of the little things that the Guardians do that makes them so special. So for me, I'm still bullish on the Guardians. And again, it has a lot to do with the coughing baby versus the atomic bomb of the American League versus the National League. But it's almost like no matter what, if you're playing pretty good baseball, I'm not counting you out in the American League.
Yeah, I understand, man. And like there's a level of 7-10 matchup in the American League right now that scares me. And
Yes.
what I mean by that is like adjacent to the NCAA basketball tournament, where like a 7-10 feels way more toss-uppy right now, and the 7 seed is always better. But the 10 seed is the team that was disappointing for a little bit that does get into the dance at the end. And that kind of feels like Cleveland, right? How many times has Cleveland pissed us off? And here they are at the end, and they're the 10 seed. They're the frisky NC State team that could end up winning and making a push to the Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight. So sorry to throw you another college basketball comp there. I said the Brewers were Gonzaga, right? And I liked that one, but
No, I think it's good because I also think in my head of, that senior on that 10 seed who hits a bunch of threes. That's Jacob Junis right now in the bullpen, right? You have like a young upstart guy and Nick Enright who's throwing good bullpen, innings for them too. So, I totally get where you're coming from, but that's guard ball. And the
yeah,
thing is, in the regular season, if you don't build in momentum into a Guardians series, they catch you. They catch you sleeping because they play better baseball than you, right? There are teams with bigger stars, but then there are teams who play the game of baseball better.
yeah,
And the Guardians play the game of baseball as good as any team, but it's hard to play the game of baseball when a lot of your guys are just downright struggling. But if they're just playing average, the Guardians' average players can win baseball games more than a lot of teams with their average players. So again, there's not a lot of stars on this Cleveland team, but It's a watered down version of the Brewers. It's 1 through 25 and everyone doing their part.
Yeah, I dig it, man. All right, we're gonna get to the New York disasters in a moment, but before that, I do want to celebrate Justin Verlander collecting his 3,500th career punchout. He did that on Sunday against Washington. Unfortunately, the rest of the start didn't go very well for Verlander. This year as a whole is not going very well,
He is
but
42.
he's
Like, we got
42
to give
years
him a
old.
break.
He's 42 years old. And what I want to make sure we do is appreciate what we've got right now because that happened on the same weekend. That happened 48 hours after we got Scherzer and Kershaw matching up in LA. And that was the repeat of the all time Vin Scully clip where he's building up Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson. Both guys get scratched, Maddux and Randy Johnson. Randy was 44, Maddux was 42. They both get scratched, and we see Kershaw and Scherzer match up in Diamondbacks Dodgers when they have 3 combined wins. Like that's one of my favorite clips in the history of baseball broadcasting, and we see these two match up, and it was a classic on Friday night in Blue Jays Dodgers. And then you fast forward later that weekend, and you see Verlander for San Francisco become the 10th pitcher to ever get 3,500 strikeouts. We may never see a trio like this at the same time again. And the fact that their careers lined up pretty much in tandem with one another was so cool to me. And there are too many parallels to the big three in men's tennis to ignore. And I'm sure this comp has been thrown out before, and I've probably thrown it out too. But like, I was just sitting here thinking about who these guys are. And the Scherzer, Kershaw, Verlander trio to this generation of baseball fan probably feels very similar to Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal. And I think of Verlander as Nadal, where it's just power and the grunts, and you dominate at such a young age in Detroit. And then you have pulses of dominance. That Cy Young season with Houston. I still see him throw 96 miles an hour sometimes. Like, I just see that pulse of power, and it's like, that's Verlander right there. So Verlander is my Rafa Nadal. As weird as it sounds, Djokovic has more slams than the other guys, and Scherzer is technically third on this list in WAR. I think Scherzer and Djokovic are very similar because Djokovic, like, it took him a little bit to become the dominant one. Scherzer, it took him a little bit to become the dominant one, right? Because when he was in Detroit, he was always the Robin to Scherzer's Batman, or to a Verlander's Batman. And then he goes to Washington, and he's like the best pitcher on the planet for a half decade, closer to a decade. And I'm thinking that's the run that Djokovic was on over the last, 5, 6 years. And Kershaw for me is Federer because Kershaw is my favorite one to watch because he's fucking perfect. He's perfect. And Federer, perfect. Robotic, perfect. Like every single shot is excellent. For me, it was so there that I had to bring that up. That like these three, we have to appreciate every single time they toe the rubber moving forward.
So on a podcast, I'm supposed to build off of that. I got nothing. Bars, just straight bars. That was perfect. It was almost as good as your Ethos ad.
There we go. Cool. I love it. And I was talking to somebody about Nick Saban as it pertains to this too. It's like you had to appreciate every single time you got to watch a Nick Saban coached Alabama football team at the end because you knew you were watching the best do their thing. LeBron, like you should be watching Laker games right now because you get to watch the best do their thing. Joe Davis was perfect on Friday night calling Kershaw and Scherzer. And I mean, they're living monuments. He called them living monuments. The fact that we can appreciate statues actually pitching, we get to watch these dudes do what they're the best in the world at right now. And I like, sorry to get on my soapbox, but it's just so much fun to watch these guys who you know are ticketed for the Hall of Fame, and all three should be unanimous Hall of Famers. It's so much fun to watch them at the end, and all of them show flashes of good stuff. Verlander, it's been harder to see this year. Shit, dude, Kershaw's got an ERA in the low threes. Like,
That's
how
the
is he
thing.
still doing it? He's sitting 88.
We keep saying it's the end for Kershaw, but why would he retire when he's throwing to a low threes every year? Like you could say, well, the velo's coming out. It's eventually going to bite him. I mean, we're waiting. We're waiting for that to happen. So it's like we keep calling this the end, and it almost seems like Kershaw's already calling it the end. Is he going to go on top like David Ortiz and just pitch to a low threes and retire? I don't know, but that's the greatness of Clayton Kershaw. And Scherzer and Verlander are both older. Verlander's 42 freaking years old, throwing in the mid 90s still. Now the results haven't really been there for him, but again, he's 42. And Scherzer's getting well up there in age as well, and he still flashes like excellent stuff. And all we want to do is just watch these guys over and over again, just to see them battle in that game. Again, called perfectly by Joe Davis, like you said. Like, we're just in a great age of baseball. No wonder we're setting attendance record. We got legends still on the mound. We have some of the best young talent that we've ever seen, right? Like, I think of a guy like Bobby Witt Jr. having somewhat of a down year, and he's still really good. I mean, Cal Raleigh's going for the home run chase. Ohtani is pitching and hitting. Like, Ohtani, sometimes when he takes the mound, even though he's one of the best hitters in baseball, I still think to myself, are you better at pitching? I mean, it's 100 still. It's the talent level in baseball is so out of this world. And still, the guys who are going to be Hall of Famers, like Jose Altuve hit his 250th home run. He's another who I think should be a unanimous Hall of Famer. We're in a great spot. So I guess now is the time to take a bad turn on the podcast and talk about why the Mets and the Yankees are terrible.
Before we do that, just baseball day at Lone Depot Park is going to be flat out awesome. That's coming at the end of August when the Marlins take on the Toronto Blue Jays. That's on Saturday, August 23rd. Tickets are still available at the link in our bio, or at the link in the episode description, and the link in our bio, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. No,
Whatever.
yeah, you can find the link in the episode description, and the link is also in our link tree. So
Yeah, perfect.
wherever you can find just baseball links, you're gonna find that. It's gonna be the best day ever. Everyone's got to come if you can.
Yeah, come join us at Lone Depot Park. It's going to be great. Again, you have a bunch of giveaways. Like, if you have this ticket, if you purchase this ticket, you're getting so much more than just going to the ball game. And you're going to go home with merch. You're going to go home with discount codes. And you get to hang out with Peter, who said he's going to be wearing a Marlin Speedo and goggles. So we are going to go to New York Misery with Peter and Ryan Finkelstein, the editor-in-chief at JustBaseball.com. But before that, we'll take one more quick break. So there's hotter than fish grease. Then there's colder than the tundra. And I think that's where I find both Ryan Finkelstein and Peter Apple right now. And this is really our opportunity for a New York roundtable. I, for one, am loving this right now. The Mets are really struggling. The Yankees are really struggling. Mariano's popping an Achilles during Old Timers Day. The Mets are getting walked off by a guy who's putting together a National League Rookie of the Year campaign. I don't even know who I start with, so I'm just going to stop talking in 3 seconds, and I'm going to let somebody pick up with their misery.
Think you have to start because since August 1st, in the month of August, you guys are 1-8 and we're 2-7. So you guys are really the problem while we're just a regular horrible team.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah. A complete difference there. I mean, and if you go back even further, I think the Mets have lost 11 of 12 because they got swept by the Padres leading into the deadline. It's just been brutal. There's no way around it. The Mets did a nice job at the deadline fortifying their bullpen, but their rotation can't make it out of the fourth inning right now. And so, a super bullpen doesn't really help when you're starting the game in the fifth inning, if not the fourth inning most games. But I don't think it's as bad as it looks. But playing the Brewers certainly did not help. That team should be the overwhelming favorite to win the World Series the way they're playing right now. It's absurd watching the Brewers, but watching the Mets has been a little bit rough lately.
I have a question for you, Fink. What makes you say that it's not as bad as it looks? Like, what's the number one thing that you're holding out hope for?
That it's baseball and it's never as bad as it looks, just like it's never as great as it looks, just like the Brewers probably aren't as good as they're playing right now as well. That's it. But also, I mean, like you can see the formula for how them if they got just halfway decent starting pitching, like I don't really have any questions about this bullpen at all anymore. The lineup has been bad all year, but you still see the names. Like I'm not looking at any lineup card that the Mets are putting out and thinking like, why is DJ Stewart batting sixth? Like I might have been thinking last year. Like the lineup every single day, you have nine, pretty good hitters in it. It's just it has not been working out for the Mets. It's just been a pretty brutal year offensively.
So can I zero in on the rotation? Because obviously this is a historic pace for Mets starters. And I saw Howie Rose tweet that this is like simply unsustainable. And when Howie is tweeting that, I'm like, things are dire right now. And you look at the names, there's some real sex appeal in that rotation from a name value perspective. but nobody's going more than 5 innings. What's the nugget? Like there, it's you guys have not had a single starter aside from David Peterson go 6 innings in a
Yeah,
month and a half.
yeah,
53 starts. 53 starts, Fink.
Thank you for the exact number. I knew that they had crossed the 50 mark, and I think once they hit 51, it became a record since 1901 that no team has ever gone through a stretch this long, only having one starting pitcher go 6 innings. And it's a combination of things. You have Clay Holmes, where he's completely blown past any type of an innings that he's ever threshold he's ever reached before. So he's gotten to a point where I feel like at some point they should be shorting him up because he still can look pretty good one time through a lineup, but trying to get him into the fourth, fifth, sixth inning, that's just not working. You have Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea, who are both still sort of working their way back off of injury. For Manaea, I think you're seeing a lot of flashes, but it's always the late innings of games. So he doesn't have that stamina built up. You have a guy that's pitching like it's the middle of April and you're, in a playoff push. So it's definitely a combination of factors. I do think that they've waited way too long, and I think they might finally do it, but they have to bring up Nolan McLean and Brandon Sproat at some point, or at least one of those guys, because I think that's part of the answer, right? And you see like a Cade Horton with the Cubs, and you see what a young pitcher can do for you.
Of
And the
course.
Mets have just been so gun shy to do it. I think part of it is you have all these veterans that you have to give starts to. But I'm pretty much done with Frankie Montas at this point. So we can put him aside and stick him at the end of the bullpen. But to keep giving that guy starts is brutal.
I mean,
Do you wish they reunited with Sevy at the deadline?
No, because you look at the Mets for the next that's not a good contract. And you look at the next couple years, I don't think that it made sense to get another like they already have too many guys honestly that are signed for next year.
Okay.
So I think they should have been maybe I don't even necessarily know if the deadline strategy was wrong because it's hard for me to say you should have traded for a starter when
Seemed
so
good.
few like you could say you should have been the one team to get Merrill Kelly, but like there's a handful of teams that should have gotten Merrill Kelly. So I almost don't even know if that's it, right? Like I don't know if they could have done it. The only thing that I think the front office has done wrong is just taken so long to bring up McLean because he's had pretty much no blips in AAA. He's been consistent the whole time. I feel like they should have gone Nolan McLean like 3 weeks ago. Like that's the one thing I can say that they maybe made a mistake on.
it's
Interesting.
funny. The Yankees have a similar problem to the Mets. Now, it's not 53 games with only one coming from David Peterson, but you look at Max Fried, and, for the front half of the season, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. But in his last 7 starts, it's 3 earned, it's 4 earned. He's never going into the six either. And in the month of August, the Yankees also don't have a starter that has gone at least 6 innings, right? Luis Gil is still working his way back from injury, but the command hasn't been there. So the pitch count just gets elevated, and then more bullpen arms have to come in. Will Warren, Cam Schlittler, all these guys, like these young rookie pitchers for the Yankees, they're not able to eat innings. And Rodon has been fine, kind of, right? So then Devin Williams has to come into the game. And for me, that is the biggest problem for the Yankees. And I did tweet out over the weekend, why does Aaron Boone continue to put him in high leverage situations? Because this hasn't been a new problem for Devin Williams. He hasn't been the Brewers' Devin Williams up until the last week or so. And then now he's blowing up. And the classic Yankee fan is just overreacting to a small sample. He has been objectively a bad reliever all year long, but he keeps getting rolled out in the eighth and the ninth inning in a tie game or with a 1-run lead. And then that kills the momentum for the next day. And it's so funny. On Sunday, Yankees are getting throttled. Got no hit into the sixth inning against Jason freaking Alexander. And what does Devin Williams do in a low leverage situation, Jack? 1 inning, no hits, strikes out the side on 11 pitches. And it just feels like I think he's still got it, but there's something about these late innings right now. When you watch the games, you can see the energy coming off him. It's so negative. He cannot be put in these spots. Like for the Yankees, there's tons of problems that we can get into, but the most viral one is Devin Williams, and
Yes.
that is the biggest problem.
Don't ever disrespect George Costanza again. His last 2 starts, six. It was what, 6 shutout against Miami in Miami, and then 6 shutout against the Yankees in New York. So 12 innings, 4 hits, and no runs. But the one hit against George Costanza is tough. I,
Yeah.
I do want to throw this at Fink because you guys went through this last year with Edwin Diaz. You've got a closer that is not his usual self. And we saw Carlos Mendoza remove him from the closer role and then reinsert him. Thought it was really weird when the deadline came and went that Brian Hook reported that Aaron Boone was not moving Devin from the closer role when you acquired two closers and Weaver had been pitching his ass off over the last couple of weeks. So you had Bednar, Doval, and Weaver that you could turn to in the ninth, but you stayed with the guy that is having an uncharacteristically poor season. How was Edwin Diaz in terms of like the bounce back from the relegation from the closer role last year?
Last year, if memory serves, I think they actually IL'd him. So I don't even remember like a specific we're pulling the closer role from you. They IL'd him when he was going through his struggles, let him basically have a rest because it was, a year off of the his first year off the knee injury. And they brought him back and kind of eased him in, but then he was pretty quickly back to the closer role. It's tough because you could look at it both ways. You could say you want to keep pumping him with confidence, so you keep him in the role. But if they're getting destroyed in the role, then it's not going to work out for you as well. So it's a really tricky balance. And I think what we're seeing with both of these teams, Devin Williams and even like a starting pitcher for the Mets that gets the yips in the fifth inning, sometimes when you are struggling in New York, those jerseys get so damn heavy. I think it makes all of these issues so much worse. I think if when you see two teams that are on this parallel line right now, a lot of it is that like once the ball starts rolling down the hill the wrong way, it's so hard to stop it and get going back in the other direction.
That's a
And
bar.
then there's another decision that the Mets made even this year, sending down Francisco Alvarez when he was struggling, a young catcher, and Austin Wells continues to be in the lineup every single day. And that's not as, Wells has been a little bit better than Alvarez has this year, but all of the focus, and Jack, you've pointed this out as well, and I know you've been frustrated that Anthony Volpe is getting all of this flack when Austin Wells has arguably been worse. He's rocking an 84 WRC plus with his I think he's still a two-win player because his defense has been incredible. And that's why you have to keep him in the lineup. But it's tough when Austin Wells continues to come up. When Jason Dominguez, another young player for the Yankees, right? It feels like if the catch probability is under 50%, you're flipping a coin whether he's going to catch it or not. And then the offense, he's slugging below 400 as well. So there's a lot of, under the radar narratives about the Yankees, under the radar players who also aren't playing up. When you look at the Yankees lineup right now, I'm waiting on Trent Grisham to hit us home. I hate that
And he's been
sentence.
really
He's
good,
been great, right? Paul
but
Goldschmidt
it's
against
Trent Grisham.
lefties. Giancarlo Stanton. Those are the guys. Since Aaron Judge came back from the injury, I think he pushed himself. Like I was surprised he came back this early. He's been DHing the whole time because I think he's still hurt. Right? I think he's 3 for 17 since he came back from the injury. 3 hits are all singles. Right? Just doesn't even look like the same Aaron Judge at the plate. And I don't blame him. I'm sure he told Aaron Boone, I have to come back. I have to play. If I don't, we're going to miss the playoffs. So whatever you get from me, that's what I'm going to have to do to get out there. And he's a bulldog, and I love that from him. But I feel like when he's playing hurt, again,
Yeah.
the Yankees lineup isn't nearly the same. And when those young guys aren't stepping up either, think you've seen the same with the Mets, right? When Lindor, he's not playing horribly, but he's the engine that makes that team run, right? Pete Alonso's the big power guy. Juan Soto is one of the best hitters on the planet. But Lindor, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the guy that stirs the drink. And when he's not playing well, and Aaron Judge is not playing well, if everybody else isn't kicking it on all gears, they're not good teams.
Yeah, I mean, you are right about Lindor, and it's kind of been a big like line in the sand of the Mets season is he got drilled in the toe against the Dodgers in the beginning of June. He's been playing with a broken toe, and not that anyone's gonna be crying for Lindor about having to go through that. His numbers have fallen off a cliff since then. Like there has been a pretty clear line in the sand of before the toe injury, he was, like an 850 OPS, and since I want to say his OPS is in like the low 600s, and it's been months. I mean, it's been brutal. So. Yeah, when Lindor's not playing well, it does seem like the entire team just kind of spirals. So it's which is crazy that that one play when you have so many other stars in this team that so much would still hinge on Lindor, but maybe in year two of Juan Soto, the team will take his identity a little bit more. There's still Francisco Lindor's team pretty clearly, and he's honestly been a large reason why they've gone through these struggles. It's not been a good season for him lately.
You said
So
broken toe on June 1.
Somewhere in the early June. I
Okay.
want to say it might have been June 6th, the specific date, but yeah.
I mean, starting from the beginning of June, he's hitting 204 with an 80 WRC plus.
Yeah.
Like, that's tough. That's really tough.
So Fink, I mentioned kind of guys under the radar struggling for the Yankees, Austin Wells, Jason Dominguez. Are there any other guys on the Mets who aren't getting the media attention? Maybe they're not the big stars on the team that not that you're worried about, but are
Complimentary
just
pieces that are pissing you off.
correct.
Yeah.
Complimentary pieces that are pissing me off. I mean, this season, Mark Vientos has been one of the biggest letdowns. I mean, you're talking about a guy that we must have ranked eighth or ninth as one of the top 10 third basemen in baseball.
And nobody batted an eye at that ranking. It was valid after last year.
Yeah, and defensively, it was a rough start to the season, and now they don't trust him on defense anymore. So now he's in this tough, especially after the deadline, once they added Mullins and they pulled Jeff McNeil into the infield. Now you got three guys trying to angle for playing time at third base, and it feels like it's just too crowded right now. But Vientos has definitely been the answer this year. You know, you thought he was going to be clearly at least a 25 home run bat in your lineup. And I mean, he's homer like one time in the past, I want to say 6 weeks. It's been pretty brutal.
One more for the both of you. I'll start with Peter, and then we'll end with Fink. Peter, the Yankees hold the final AL wildcard spot right now. They are a half game clear at Cleveland. They're 2.5 clear at Texas, who's dropped four in a row. They're 4 clear of Kansas City. Tampa and Minnesota are both 5.5 back in the final wildcard spot. Give me a confidence rating from 0 to 100
Zero.
that the Yankees are in the postseason.
Now, it's so funny. If you look at BetMGM, they make the Yankees like minus 300, minus 350 to make the playoffs, which gives them like a 75% chance of making it. So based on the odds, it should be 75. I just can't get that high. I do think right now it's a coin flip whether the Yankees make the playoffs or not because the Guardians are playing great baseball. The Rangers are still a very solid team, but this upcoming series against the Twins I think is a kind of make or break series. I know it's still the middle of August and they could lose both those games and still go on a run, but the Yankees have historically owned the Twins. Own them. Twins sold off all these pieces at the deadline. Now the Twins had a decent series against the Royals, right? That Luke Keyshaw walk-off home run was awesome. So it's not like they're playing terrible baseball, but the optics of that series, if you get beat by a team that you have historically owned that sold at the deadline, now I'm going to get really worried. Now, if you roll through them, then you can start to build some momentum and I will still feel good. So right now for me, 50-50.
Okay, Ryan Finkelstein in the National League wildcard race. The Cubs hold the top spot. San Diego is 3 clear in the second spot of the New York Mets, who have dropped 7 in a row, and the threat has continued. The Mets, you mentioned, what, 11 to 12 that they've lost? The Mets are a game and a half clear of Cincinnati. They're 3.5 clear of St. Louis, 4 of San Francisco, and 6 of Arizona and the Marlins. Confidence scale 0 to 100. Where are you that the New York Mets are in the playoffs?
Probably going to surprise you guys, but honestly, like 75% sure they're going to make it. And the reason I say that is just what you just mentioned, the teams behind them. If the Braves were within 5 games, my confidence would probably be below 50%
Yeah.
because I'm still traumatized by the Braves. But honestly, when I'm looking at the Reds and the Giants and the Marlins and the Cardinals, I just don't see a clear playoff team there. I think the Giants are the one where I could kind of envision it, right? I can kind of see the picture towards them going on a run because they have the two horses atop their rotation. If that lineup started to figure it out the way they have a little bit lately, maybe, but it's funny. We talk so much the Marlins, I'm sorry. The Marlins definitely
Thanks, Fink.
100%. I was a little more fearful of them before the Braves rolled them, but I'll tell you, for me, the Mets, they have so much more talent than these teams. I think what's interesting is we talk so much about the American League and the National League, how the National League is supposed to be so much better. Now I think there's five teams in the National League that are unbelievable, and then who's going to be that sixth team? I think that's it, but the Mets still have to be the favorites to be that team.
I dig it. The
So
National League
one
versus
last
the American League. Yeah,
one last
I was just gonna say National League versus the American League is absolutely hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby.
pretty
The
much.
AL is very bad.
And that's how bad I think the Yankees are in a coughing baby league. I'm giving them a 50-50 shot to make the playoffs. No, Fink, I understand where you're coming from because you do have a game and a half lead, in the wild card as we record. But, you mentioned the Giants. Jack, you mentioned the Marlins. The Reds are coming. The Reds are playing good baseball. And you talk about the Giants having those two horses at the top. Hunter Green is back, right? You still have Abbott. You still have Lodolo. You still have Chase Burns. You still have Zach Littell. They are very deep in the starting rotation, and they've been playing great baseball too. For you, I mean, I am surprised that you're at 75% with how well the Reds are playing. I would feel the same as me. I still think it's a coin flip, and if you look at the odds, right, I think the Mets are minus 250. So my team, based on the odds, is actually more likely to make the playoffs, and I'm at 50-50. But you're more optimistic than me. You have a better head on your shoulders than me. I'm very, very emotional. But what I will say is to comb through all of those feelings that I have, the Reds are coming. The Reds are absolutely on your tail.
The thing is, when's the last time the Reds made the playoffs outside of 2020? That's where it's hard for me to completely buy into the Reds.
It's a new year though, and they have a very, very good starting rotation. Now their bullpen could end up being their downfall. But if they build off that 14-run performance against the Pirates on Sunday, again, we're recording Monday mid-afternoon,
Pirates.
so it's still, I mean, Pirates, one thing they do have is pitching. They can't hit, but they do have pitching. I think the Reds are a very imposing foe for you guys down the stretch, considering your starting pitching can't go more than 5 innings, Fink.
It's so funny. The ultimate clapback is New Year. When's the
New
last
year,
time Cincinnati made the postseason? New Year.
new
Come on.
year.
And you know what Fink has to do? Shit, you're right, Peter. Sorry, it is a new year. No doubt about that. Ryan
And
Fink, yeah.
I was just gonna say the answer to my question was 2013, the last time
Okay,
that they made the playoffs outside of 2020.
there we go. Ryan
Actually,
Finkelstein. Yeah.
one last thing. Now that Finkel was 75, I'm going with 76.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
The editor in chief of justbaseball.com, man. Appreciate all you do for us on the Just Baseball side. And, man, huge congratulations on the new title. And we'll talk to you soon.
Nice guys.